Okay, well, I don't know if this mic is picking up anything. I don't think I hooked it up right, but just in case it is grabbing something. But I'll just talk a little louder, just in case. Oh my gosh, I just had one of the best trips with my mom, and I had my birthday weekend, and I just kind of wanted to fill you in on a couple things because it was so magical. So lately I've been struggling, just to like be super transparent. I've been kind of struggling with self-doubt. I mean, I know we all do, but in how to move forward with my life and what do I really want to do, and what's going to light me up, what's going to make me excited to get up every day. And I know my daytime job is not that thing. I think I romanticized it a lot, and then in the end, customer service is customer service. But I love the company, so that's been like a really hard thing, is trying to hold that and knowing that I don't want to be there forever while enjoying my time there while I'm there, and then also trying to plan how to leave. Like, how can I get my income in other areas just up to replace that? And with that thought comes a lot of thoughts around, like, well, how is it going to work? And you've never been able to do it before, and why is this time any different? And it's always like really discouraging and what the fuck are you doing thoughts. And so basically October 1st through the 10th, my mom had came over to New England to stay with me and to celebrate my birthday. So I'm officially 35, which is crazy. It's like equally exciting as it is super weird to say that, because I feel like 35 sounds like I have my shit together. I definitely don't. So there's this like a holding two things at once of like, holy shit, I sound old, but I don't feel old. And like, I don't want to be 35 because people are gonna think, oh, she's an adult now. She's like in her life, and I don't know. I don't know what people are thinking. But regardless, there's this other like funny piece that I want to share with you, just because it's been floating in my mind forever. So I had dated this guy back in high school, and his grandma used to read palms at like these like community events. They would have a palm reader, and she would be the one to do it. And his mom and dad were definitely alcoholics and having a rough go at life. And like everyone smoked cigarettes. Like, it was very much like we do what we want kind of attitude towards life, which isn't bad. But I just knew that that's not what I wanted for my life. I didn't want to like be at home drunk all the time, and I didn't want to be around cigarette smoke all the time. And I was kind of coming to terms with, I don't think this is my forever person. And I'm 18, 19, right? But I'm still having those thoughts. And his grandma, I had like just gotten my lip pierced, and I was feeling really good about it because I've been wanting to do it forever. And you know, when you get your lip pierced for the first time, it's like a fat ring. It's not like the cute dainty ones. You have to swap those out later once it's healed. And she told me that I looked ugly with it, and I was like, that was really rude. She was like, well, do you want me to lie to you? And I was like, yeah. Actually, yeah, I do. And then she proceeded to want to give, like, she started doing my palm reading, and she had made a comment about my lip ring. So she kept reading, and she told me that I was going to become a paraplegic or a quadriplegic in my early to mid 30s. And that stuck with me. because, well, I'm tucking my feet under the cushion, so you're just going to rock a little bit. And that stuck with me forever. And I remember later in life, just thinking like, I bet that timeline did exist. I bet if I would have stayed with his family and continued drinking in the way that I was and wanting to fit in and not caring for my body, I bet that was a possibility for me. And in the moment, I was like, God, like, this guy's grandma's kind of a twat, you know? Like, who tells somebody that? I, like, didn't even break it to me gently. It was just like, oh, yeah, too bad. And at the same time, now that I'm 35 and I'm kind of hitting that finish line of mid-30s, there is a sense of relief of like, okay, I think I'm out of the clearing. I think I made it. I don't have to have her weird wisdom in the back of my head for no reason. Anyway, that has been playing on my mind up until the 10th, because that was my birthday. And there's just this sense of joy and uncertainty that I'm really, like, I don't think I'm struggling to balance, but it's a confusing thing to hold. I'm just so happy and I'm so grateful for where I am in life, and at the same time, I had these expectations of myself from when I was younger, and I adopted them from a friend. I had a friend in high school who said that she wanted to have a house and have it paid off by the time she was 30. And I don't know why it stuck with me, but then it kind of felt like a competition of like, oh fuck, well, if she's gonna do that, then I definitely have to do that. And I haven't done that. But what I have done with my life, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with where my life has turned out, and never in a million years would I have thought that I would be living in New Hampshire and right by Vermont and right by Maine and Boston. Like, it's such a fun, I don't know, a fun little adventure that I'm on, and I'm just really happy that those things from when I was younger didn't come true. Because who would I have been? Who would I have been? I have no idea. Anyway, I wanted to share a little bit about my mom's trip because some of this stuff was coming up in the background of my mind, and I really, really was proud of how I was able to kind of keep the gratitude and keep the perspective, I guess, the whole trip. Because my mom and I are very different people, and we align on a lot of things, and some things we don't. And on the things that we don't align on, we're so much better than we used to be about communicating our opinions in a way that isn't harmful to the other person. And I'm saying that kind of coded because I'm not sure if any of my other family members are going to watch my YouTube at all, so I'm trying to be gentle just in case. Because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. That's not in the realm that I want to play in. And a lot of my family kind of has adopted that if I'm louder, then that means I'm more correct kind of mentality. And that was something that was really hard for her and I because she grew up with all boys. She was raised like a boy. You know, she was a tomboy her whole life. And with that was the detachment from emotions and detachment from communicating emotions and how things may, like, if things hurt her feelings, you know, that generation, they didn't talk about it. And especially in a small town, you know, she grew up in the what happens in the house stays in the house type of a vibe. And on top of like a bunch of other family history that's not mine to tell, emotions are hard. Emotions are very hard. And I learned at a young age when and when not, like how to pick your battle. And this trip, I think, just shone a spotlight on how much her and I have grown and how much we've grown together and how much that we've put our relationship as a priority over everything else. And for a lot of people, that's really hard. For a lot of people, that's it's compromising. It's compromising your comfort and your discomfort. And sorry, I'm not really sure where to go with this. I'm just wanting to share because it's something I don't really see that often in people from her generation, in being open and transparent and honest. And sometimes honesty can come with a barbed tongue. And when I've received feedback like that, it took me a really long time to find the words to express how I wanted that feedback delivered. And if the person couldn't meet that, then that was when I would be like, okay, well, I don't want to have these conversations with you. And that was a boundary to protect myself from hurt and disappointment, because I knew inevitably I would feel hurt and I would feel pain and discomfort, and then I wouldn't feel as safe with them. And I think that's also kind of a part where her and I have really, really grown, is honest, kind communication. And usually, like in the past, when my mom and I would have disagreements, it would turn out into an all-out, like, a yelling match, or that I would take from it that I just wasn't smart enough to understand. I wasn't a critical thinker. I was just too emotional. And I just learned early on to just be quiet and to just hold everything inside, because it wasn't worth the fight to me. And that pain wasn't worth me trying to get someone to see my side or to hear me or to see me. And I'm kind of seeing that play out in this area of my life, where I'm trying to find purpose and what excites me and what makes me happy and how am I going to move forward. And it's just such a full circle moment. And I'm sorry if this is a little scattered, but it is just one of the best trips that I've had. And I'm just going to kind of slowly start incorporating some of the things from our trips. That way you're just not staring at me the whole time while I'm talking to you. But there's just been so many wonderful moments where I was just like, wow, my mom and I have finally reached the place where it's no longer just a mother-daughter relationship, but we can actually be friends. And she even told me when I was younger, I think she said I was like 19, that I was really excited for her to be my best friend. And at the time, she was like, don't take motherhood away from me. I don't want to be your best friend. I'm your mom. I want to be your mom. And being a mom was so much more important to her than being a best friend. And she was saying on this trip, she was like, back then I was so stuck on that, and I didn't want to be your best friends because moms who were best friends were bad moms. And now that you're older, I'm like, oh, we are kind of best friends, and how just beautiful it is. And so it's so funny too to see her having these little moments from being young and growing up, and how our just relationship has evolved. And a lot of that evolution came from a lot of hard talks and a lot of painful memories and a lot of things that she didn't know was going on in my internal world, and I didn't know was going on in her internal world. And having her here on this trip to just do things together and to just bond in a way that kind of redefined our relationship was so special, and it was so, I don't know, I think I'm just going to cherish this trip a lot for the next few years, because it was perspective shifting on how her and I can relate, and it's just a wonderful, beautiful thing. And I just kind of want to share that because there's a lot of people that I know in my life who kind of struggle to have these talks with their families and their friends, and sometimes it does get worse before it gets better. Ours did. Ours got worse before it got better. And then there was a moment where I kind of had to put everything out on the table on why I was putting boundaries up and how I was feeling and how things were being, like how people were talking to me and treating me. And it was like these little moments of progress, and then it just kind of steamrolled and steamrolled and steamrolled into now our big, beautiful relationship and best friend status. And I feel like I'm just bullshitting, but there's a piece of our family's history where I do want to say it, because I think that it just kind of ties this all together. But my grandma, my mom's mom, she lived a really rough life. She was married when she was 13 or 14, with my mom's dad. And my grandma had my mom and her eldest brother with him, and he passed away in a logging accident. Shortly after, they moved to my little hometown, and it was her. So it was an eldest daughter, uncle, and then my mom, so 3 kids. And after he passed, I believe they moved to Oregon, to my small little hometown, and they had a trailer fire, and my grandma lost her eldest daughter, and she was never the same after that. And she's just lived her whole life just ornery as shit. And I wish that my grandma and I had a better relationship, and that I kind of knew her history a little more as an adult, so that way I could have chatted with her more and learned even more from her and what her life was like. And so now I have my mom to kind of relay memories to me. But grandma had a lot of traumatic experiences, and then because my mom reminded her of her eldest daughter that she lost, she then started to treat my mom differently. So now my mom also lost not only her sister, but her mom. And the same thing kind of happened with my birth father. We didn't have a strong relationship, but we tried to rekindle it towards the end. And he also had like a lot of parental issues and not knowing who his parents were, and his mom would lie to him about who his dad was. And there's just a lot of like deep, heavy emotional trauma and scars. And this whole trip felt like a maternal clearing. It felt like my mom and I were rewriting the history of our mom and daughter relationship. And there's just something so sacred about that, and something to cherish, in that my mom and I got to a point and are kind of proving to our ancestral line that it's doable. And it's so hard to put into words, so I know this sounds crazy, but there's just this connection and understanding that what my mom and I have, my previous generations didn't have, as far as I'm aware. I don't know, past lives and things further back. Obviously, I have no idea. But when it came from my grandma to my mom and my mom to me, it was very much going in that direction until I decided that I wanted better and I wanted more. And I was kind of the trailblazer to change that story and to get kind of all of this shifting in a better direction. And I don't say that as like ego or anything. I just say it as I'm really glad that I did. I'm really glad that I went through all of those really painful and really hard conversations with her, because had we not, we wouldn't have the wonderful, beautiful relationship we have today. And I think it just goes to show that discomfort can turn into something really beautiful if you stick with it, and if it's ethically, morally right for you, if it's kind and honest, and it can change more than you really know until you're on the other side of it and you're reflecting, and then you're like me and you're like, wow, holy shit, we've come so far. And so for the last like 2 weeks, I have just been really just soaking up my mom time with my mom before she left, and really kind of dialing in where I am emotionally and energetically, and just kind of having that reminder that I really only have one life, and like maybe I'll reincarnate, but then I'm going to be somebody different. I'm not going to be me anymore. That's a trippy thought. But I do want to do a lot as Jordan, and I want to do a lot with this body and this mind and this way of thinking. And it reminds me of the was it Zoe, the actress? I think it's Zoe Kravitz or Kravitz. But there is like a little interview where she says like, I like the way I learn, and I like the way I mess up, and I like the way that I do things, and I like my creativity. And she just talks about how much she likes the way that she does life. And I am just feeling that so deeply right now. Like, I enjoy the way that I'm spontaneous. I enjoy the way that I'm constantly changing jobs and changing careers, because I want to experience new things, and I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited to see where this self-love and this new part of my life takes place, and where is it going to go. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I really don't know how to sign off from this. But it's starting to rain outside, and unfortunately I do have to go back to my day job. Monday is officially Monday for me. So I guess I'll see you guys later. Remember, if you want to have conversations with people, to keep it kind and honest. No one's going to listen to you if you're yelling. Pretty sure it's proven in science, but have a good one, you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.